Hey there, Christopher Thunder here from the World's Dirtiest Workshop. It is migration time here at the World's Dirtiest Workshop. How did that come about? Well, sooner or later, software ages out. And if it's a key piece of software, such as a browser, and you need access to a certain piece of functionality, such as iCloud, right? You can't get to the stuff you need. And I want that stuff on this machine here. So there's a machine right here that's tall. It's 2013 Mac Pro. Okay, so this is a powerful 10-year-old machine, which has been stripped of all, I would say, extraneous functionality. So all those hundreds of programs that would run in the background and come and go and, in and out, they're subdued. They've been brought down under control and they don't operate. So what you get is you get just the things you want, such as your Paint program or your browser program or whatever it is you want to run, your file transfer program, which makes a machine like this super duper fast. Even though it might have only 2 processors in one core, it still operates like an office machine, even though it's 10 years old. And I'm talking about a current office machine, so it's blazing fast because it's optimized. Now, this thing back here, that is a somewhat newer laptop, which has a fairly current OS on it, and that doesn't have the problem of iCloud connectivity. So I go through the browser on that machine, I get to the iCloud, I can transfer files from, say, a device like this one, right? So the files go from here up to the cloud and then down to there. And then I would take them and transfer them to some thumb drives, probably one thumb drive, probably nearly a terabyte. And I would unplug the thumb drive, stick it over here and plug it into this machine here, probably on the array of USB ports. So I can migrate around a terabyte at a time pretty easily, just, and it goes. So, I have this problem where I have to migrate files on a daily basis from here to there, up there, to down to here, to over to here. And migration is where you take an older machine such as this and you upgrade it to a more current OS, not necessarily the current, but a more current OS, which has the more current browsers, which is supported by iCloud. Now, it's kind of my fault. Yes, this machine has aged out. It is 10 years old and the software is slowly aging away. I have written on the computer that it will die in the year 2025. I don't think that that's going to happen. By then, I will have this machine relatively current, and it'll be flying along with a fully optimized OS, just like before, and it will run current software, and I'll be able to move files from here up to the iCloud and down to there where I do all my artwork. So that's a key issue. Where do I want to work, and how do I get that machine current so that I don't have problems like I'm having today? How do we go about that? The next thing is you can't just have one machine to do this. You have one machine and you make a mistake and that machine goes down. Well, guess what? You're done. You're done forever. So what you do is you keep a secondary machine operating just in case. You take this machine and you back it up. You back up the machine to a thumb drive, and you store the data files, configuration files, security codes, all of that stuff. And you have to have a list of those configuration files and security codes that you want to keep the machine running. Once you've established that list and you've backed up the machine, you can verify that backup and then shut down the machine, which is this one. That machine will power down and you can boot it under a new thumb drive, which might have the new OS software on it, and it'll wake up and start functioning, and it'll start downloading files from the internet, and after a while you'll get a new OS on this machine. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next couple days, is slowly preparing to migrate. Am I going to do it today? No. Am I going to build up a preparation data set? Yes. Am I going to have lists? Yes. Am I going to know what I'm doing? You betcha. Have I done it before? Yeah, kinda. I had to bring this machine up a little bit when I first got it. I had to back it up. So did I take it to this level? No, because now I have all kinds of software that I want to take with it. And what's going to happen is the new OS will go on, and then all that software will have to come down from the internet one at a time, and then I'll have to slap the new security codes into each one and bring each piece of software up with those security codes. Now, one of the things I can do is I can take some of that additional software and bring it up on this machine back here, and I can get all that running. So as soon as I feel comfortable with all of that critical stuff, mission critical stuff running back there, then I can start thinking about tearing this one down and rebuilding it. And this is the nature of enterprise level migrations. When a big company goes to upgrade their systems for one reason or another, there is usually a certain mitigating device that's usually running to keep things going if things go wrong. Sometimes people will move off site, so they'll prepare the current computer system for the migration. They'll build a second one off site, which is like this one, and they'll get that one up and running, and they'll get it with all of its mission critical software, minus a few things. Once they're happy with the way it works from day to day, then they shut down the computer room where they are, the main headquarters, and then the migration begins. The running and screaming and hair pulling that goes on with these migrations is astounding. When they are run smoothly, people aren't running and screaming and panicking at the last minute. Usually when they're run smoothly, you finish hours ahead and everybody is going, yep, I'm done. I've got a list and I know what it is and I'm done. And just like mission control, for the Apollo missions, it's like go, 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 and everybody's go, 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 go. And then once the checklist of people has been checked, the people that were to say go, and that checklist has occurred in the proper order, right? There's usually an order of operations. Then you bring up the main system. And that's how migrations generally work. Now, once the new system comes up, the new main system, now remember, you're still running on the old system back here, right? Once the new system comes up, you have to go through a certain period of testing. So the new system comes up and then you start trying all the new pieces of software. You might be entering new security codes. You might have to upgrade certain pieces of software which are no longer compatible to get everything running perfectly again. This has happened. So you go to bring up the big machine, the important machine, while you're working on this, and suddenly certain pieces of software just don't want to work. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but you're just going to have to put up with that. This is the nature of migrations, and there are incidentals, right? There are things that will occur during a migration that you won't expect. You have to be ready for them. And when they occur, you have to be able to keep them under control and not panic, because you've got a job to do. And the job is to get that to-do list done, the migration to-do list done in the proper order. Not only that, but at the end of the migration, everybody should be clinking beers and going, yay, team. And everybody should be pretty happy with the job that they did. I was responsible for many such migrations, and A lot of the time, while I was finishing early, there were other teams that were kind of panicking. Usually it was the data teams, the teams that validated the information. And they would panic and say, oh, I'm missing this, oh, I'm missing that. They'd freak out and they'd say, oh, restore this database, oh, restore that database. And I'd say, wait a minute, before I spend 4 hours doing that, back up, rewind, and check this and check that, and see if you just have an error. And a lot of the time, that would happen. You'd have people swearing up and down that they were good and that you were the one that needed to restore your data, and you go, well, the time keys are 100%, so I restored the right version. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's the right version. I open it up. Okay, there's the screen. It's the right version. I've just taken my time to do the due diligence that I was on the right version. Your data is clearly wrong. How did you test it? And that often creates a lot of conflict. People get angry, and it's like, well, hey, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to spend 4 hours repeating what I've done to go nowhere, right? Only to have you test it again and say it's wrong? Or do you want to go back and check your test and make sure that it's not wrong? And after talking to management, a lot of people would concede and say, okay, manager has a lot of confidence in what I've done. We don't have much confidence in the data test. Data people go back and revalidate and make sure that you have all the data, the documents, the elements of the database that are separate from the database that you thought you needed, the stuff that's in the database that you thought you needed. So there's stuff in databases and there's stuff outside of databases, and sometimes they have to match. When you're doing migrations like that, it's not just about what's inside something. A lot of the time it's what's inside plus what's outside plus what's connecting and what's talking. And if this guy isn't talking to that other guy over there or that guy over there, you can have issues. Usually this is tested. So when this guy comes up and has to start talking to everybody, the communications are tested as well. So this guy will come up, he will talk to the internet, and that's all I need for communication. Then it's browser communication, YouTube communication, file transfer communication, such as the iCloud. All of that has to be verified. So these actions have to take place for a migration to function. So that is your testing scenario. It's not just the data, it's what you're doing with the data on a daily basis that must be validated. Once there's a certain level of confidence that that is all working, then the validation team, they all, go, nod. Hey, we're great. Now, one other thing that's really important with these migrations that I found lacking was when the jobs are done, there has to be a certain attaboy that has to take place. A lot of the time what winds up happening is management walks away from the team member once they're done, and they grumble and groan and shuffle their feet and move on to the next task. That can be very depressing and very disappointing, because I may have worked for 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours on the migration. I may have worked for 6 months on the migration to make that migration happen. And the way I usually do it, it's, okay, wait 20 hours. I'll let you know. And unfortunately, people don't trust that. And I'll say, okay, I'll get emails, I'll get verification every milestone that takes place. And if something pauses, I will get on the system and I will make sure that everything keeps moving. That's a hard thing. People don't have a lot of confidence in that. It's very important that migrations be something like, and everything should happen. You should have tested it 50 times before migration day. And the millions of files, the myriads of files should all transfer all in one shot. The databases should all transfer in one shot. They should recover in one shot. And then there should be validations of each database and each file set. And that's why the data verification team needs to really do their job. I can make sure that the content is there. When they run their reports, they better be damn sure that they're reading the right data. So, it's okay to give me the attaboy early and then go after the data people and say, hey, you're not done yet. And then say, okay, go get a beer, be ready at 5, come back, go get a sandwich, take a break, take a breather, a stress break, get away from the data team. The management will deal with them because they're clearly not coming up with the right answers. And then come back and say, hey, we were wrong, you were right. Hey, you did a great job. You verified everything. Thank you. The data team was off. They need to come back and rethink their testing, because 9 times out of 10, the data teams won't be testing the migration ahead of the migration. They will discover their problems during the migration, not 3 days in advance or 8 days in advance like I would. So, hey, this is what migrations are like. This is what they're all about. Remember, if you're a manager of a migration, it's really important to maintain a certain emotional awareness of the human beings that are doing the job, and that they should feel good about what they've done at the end of that migration, because they may have spent 6 months preparing and then 3 days doing, and they're pretty confident that their job is done, only to find that there's other teams that are coming in and pounding on them and saying, our reports are wrong, what did you do? And my answer will be, nope, it's right, check, it's right. Your data's wrong. The way you're looking at it is wrong. Go back and check again. I might say, what is wrong? What specifically is wrong? Where is the wrong data? What's the nature of the wrong data? And they'll say, oh, it's this. And what might happen is the network guys will come online and they'll say, oh, that file system's not mounted up. So it wasn't that I didn't do my job, it's maybe the network guys weren't checking to make sure all the file systems were mounted. Because maybe my job isn't to check certain external files to see if they're accessible from the current machines. Maybe that's not my job. So maybe that's somebody else's job, and they weren't fully aware, they just weren't looking for that file system being missing. This has happened. So my job as a migration guy might not be to verify that all the file systems are mounted. My job might be to verify that the data is present, and to know that a certain directory tree is out there or not may not be my job. The project managers are supposed to be aware of this. They're supposed to be ready for this. And they should be involved in the process and making sure that it gets done. If you are doing this job, you need to move around from department to department and be hands-on. And it's not necessarily the database guy's job to follow you around, because they just trip up people. Suddenly you have a small crowd of people all marching together from building to building, and it can get quite taxing because it's a small crowd that's moving with you from place to place, and everybody's standing around going, while one person is there going like this. That's a lot of pressure. It really should be 1 or 2 people moving around doing all the checks to keep the pressure down. Yeah, people are weird. It's not like King Arthur, right, from the Holy Grail, and 5 or 6 guys running around with the with the coconuts clapping. That's not how migration testing should be done. It's not King Arthur and his men running around clapping coconuts together. It's one or two people going around, going down the checklist and verifying that everything is there. When something is found not to be there, it gets added to the list for the next migration. So when things happen next time, you know what to do. And that's what I intend to do for this one. I'm going to be recording my actions and making sure that there's additions that might need to go in, and that they're in the data set, they're in my instruction set for the next migration. That's really important. That might be part of the follow-up meeting. Okay, so you don't want to say that there was some kind of a critical problem and we're following up. People say post-mortem. That's a terrible word to use. Maybe you had a pretty successful migration and you're out there looking to move forward with the next one and make it better. Post-mortem is not the right word for that. It's the future migration team, and you're putting people together to make sure that it happens right the next time, that you do it better, smoother. And when people have done their jobs, that they have the necessary instructions to do it all again. All that being said, migrations require a lot of work and the right management and the right frame of mind. When management does not take the time to run through the pieces and make sure that everything is flowing, that's when you wake up on go live day and realize that something's missing. Now, this happens all the time. You bring up the new system again and there's a piece missing. That's going to happen. When it does, don't freak out. Make sure that the piece goes in and that operations continue. Yes, there will be some downtime, maybe from the morning of go live up until that moment. But that does not mean that it's a crisis situation and that there should be people punished for it. It should mean that, hey, we should all be enthusiastic about making the fix, and then when the fix occurs, that we move forward. And we should not assign blame to people. I was in a lot of environments where these things would happen, and the first thing people would do is randomly assign blame to an individual. It was almost, par for the course to say, hey, we have to quietly assign blame to somebody, and we'll rag on them for the next 6 months just to make sure that it doesn't happen again. No, that's not how things should work. So, again, enthusiastic, emotionally uplifting, moving forward and making sure that it's yay team. Very critical, very, very critical. If a certain individual is singled out as being a cause of a crisis, even when they're not at fault, they might feel that they are the cause. And that's not a good thing. So this is my crisis situation cause right here. Anytime there's a crisis, something gets chewed, pulled, ripped out, thrown over, spilled over, it's his fault, right? Well, it shouldn't be, but it is his fault. And that's not the kind of thing you want for migrations. You want everybody to feel good about their migration. You want everybody to feel like they're a part of the team. You want everybody to feel like they're part of the machine. I have been singled out as the fifth wheel. And after 7 years of being singled out as the fifth wheel, it is very emotionally taxing. It can be very, very stressful. Even when all seems well, there's one member of the team that's being treated as a fifth wheel. And that's bad. that's really bad. That won't make your migration very successful. So this is Christopher Thunder saying, hey, thanks for listening and watching to my presentation on migrations. This is a small one. We talked about what happens with teams when you have larger migrations and how they look like this small one. I think everybody can learn a lot from that, especially the humanity part of it, because a lot of the time migrations are extremely stressful, and at the end people forget to celebrate. They do. And when people can't celebrate with the rest of the team, they are often forgotten because they've got families or things they have to do, and they don't take the time to gather up the team together on a different day and go out and have a lunch and just say, you know, hey, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Thunder for his actions and his bravery and his unswerving abilities to get the data restored on time and perfect every time. But you know, that's just the way things are. Well, it looks like it's celebration time. I love a good mug of cocoa. We have Catalina over there, and I'm doing a quick video edit to see if I can do some video processing on Catalina. So I'm just doing some basic testing, but I have a lot of confidence that everything else will work. So I might fire up iMovie real quick and some of the other apps. I might watch a quick video on YouTube, and then I'm going to run a backup. I'm going to back up the entire system onto my Big Sur thumb drive. So I'm just going to completely wipe out that thumb drive and dedicate it to a Mac OS backup. And that will be the initial refresh of that machine. So if the machine should die or the hard drive fail or whatever, I can put another hard drive in it and I can restore that Mac OS to that system, and I'll have a complete restore of all of my files, all of my applications, their passwords, everything. So I'll have it all back. Now, I don't keep a lot of files on the machine itself. Just about everything is off the machine. You have to get into the habit of just using the computer as a temporary workspace. You really should use your thumb drives as temporary workspaces and not use the computer at all. And the reason is the computer can fail. If the computer fails entirely, where does your workspace go? Well, if you're saving off every so often onto the thumb drive, you're going to be okay, because your workspace wasn't on the machine that quit. And you just go to another laptop and plug in your thumb drive and you're off to the races again. If you need to rebuild that laptop, well, it might take you a while, but you'll still be able to plug in that thumb drive and you'll be back up and running again. So, cheers. Everything's working again. Well, testing is critical. I'm almost finished my giant cup of cocoa here, and I was over on the other machine running through various programs as part of my post-migration testing. And it turns out iMovie doesn't work on Catalina. And that's kind of important to me because that's my segment editor. So as I build segments together to form a movie, iMovie is the fastest. It's the quickest way to edit segments. So I had to pull a trick to make iMovie download from the App Store. You're going to run into this. You're going to do your migration, you're going to do your post-migration testing, and you're going to find out that after the migration, certain things just don't function. And then you may have to do what I'm doing right now, which is, delete a file or two and go back and try and download new ones and see if they function. This is going to happen. Post-migration testing. Get as much of it working as you can, and then back it up. Thanks for watching.